Go, Jenny, you're on air.
Well, I attended the the New South Wales Family History Federation's annual Congress, which was held in the next suburb to me, so it was very, very convenient for me. And it's a 3-day event. I was there yesterday manning a table for the Society of Genealogists, and today I was attending lectures, and our Gould has a stand there. They've been there, they'll be there for 3 days. Our Eastern Seaboard representative has been manning the table. Oh, so Cyberlink's come up.
Yeah, that's Helen Williams. For some reason I'm not seeing a picture. Maybe she hasn't got a video. But not to worry about that. Was it well attended, Jenny?
Yes, for a small thing, which is certainly not like Who Do You Think You Are, or the, let's see, every 3 years we have a huge congress. So this was a good attendance of about 400 to 500 people. Excellent. For each day.
That sounds like a lot.
Well, I was very impressed with how many were there, because it's not something that's really publicised that well. And New South Wales being a very, very big state, you don't expect people to just travel down for a sort of a smaller meet. But it was definitely beneficial. The talks were good, and I think I finally am getting a hang on DNA. I attended a really good lecture on DNA with lots of little kiddies' drawings, and I think I finally understand it.
I must admit, I'm very similar. I'm convinced, like, I'm kind of pushed into starting my study just to prove who was a genuine Cumberbatch and who isn't, because I'm absolutely convinced that the vast majority of us are not genetically related, because at least half of my study was born in Barbados and illegitimacy rules supreme there. But I've got a little old man, 89 years old, the last male ancestor, last male descendant, I should say, of a branch from the original bunch. So I'm extremely keen to get up to Staffordshire and put his DNA on file as the anchor Y-DNA to test against.
Well, one of the examples that she gave us was just that, illegitimacy, how it can help, because her father-in-law, his father was illegitimate, and she thought she had worked out who his father was because he had a strange middle name, and she assumed that would have been the surname. So she actually traced his line down, found a contact, and sort of invited him to have his DNA taken, and she would pay for it. And of course, when the results came back, there was no connection. So at least it ruled out the illegitimacy.
Right, fantastic. Thanks for that. Oh, Derek's just got a call.
Yes,
the next bit was for him. So, any updates from anyone else before we invite Derek to run through his stuff?
No, but I don't know if you can see these.
Monday.
CDs, DVDs.
Yes. That's today's lot that I bought. It's a very expensive place to go to.
We do make some of the best customers, right?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll circle back, I think, with Derek. If there were others from Australia that's going to join, then they're going to have to watch the recording or join in the flow. By way of background, oh, here's Ruth at last. Hello, Ruth. Hello, Ruth. Can you hear us? Yes, I think that smile's a yes.
Hello.
Hello, hello, Ruth. Ruth, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. I think that smile's a yes.
Hello.
Hello, Ruth. Ruth, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, we're getting feedback.
Yeah, I think, Ruth, what's happening is the sound's coming out of your speaker and back into your mic. Yeah, I think, Ruth, what's happening is the sound's coming out of your speaker and back into your mic. And that's better, I think. Yeah, I think also that there seems to be a long delay out to the West Coast for some reason, but Ruth, welcome to your first Hangout. We've got another newbie in Derek. Ruth, would you like to walk us through a high level of your study, what it's about, the surname, and any interesting stories? Can't hear you, Ruth.
I can't hear her.
No, I can't hear you, Ruth. Let's hand over to Derek for a while. Derek, would you like us to give a high-level walkthrough of your study, the surname, any interesting facts, or a rough estimate of how big it is? Oh dear, I can't hear. Derek, hold on. I can't hear you, Derek.
No, it's saying you've muted him, Bob.
I thought I just unmuted him. Maybe you can
No,
only mute. I put you on mute, Derek, when you got the telephone call. Top right-hand corner, there should be a microphone.
How about that?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Hey, that's the one to press. Yeah, the study name's Kingsman, which is fairly diverse. Where I'm at the moment is I've got about 16,000 people in the database, which are mainly UK, and I'm just starting on America.
Okay.
I think Jenny was mentioning about DNA. Yeah, I've got a DNA study, which is part of it works, part of it doesn't. I've got some matches and some which are completely, oh, where did you come from?
What are you using to store that number of people in, Derek?
I've got a series of trees in Family Historian.
Right.
But I also use Excel spreadsheets quite a lot.
Fantastic. And just by way of background for you, Derek, either Chris or Paul, would you like to give some indication of the size and scale of one or both of your studies?
Sure, I'll happily go. My study is currently approaching 65,000 people in my database in reconstructed families.
Wow.
The approach I take is not to add any information into the database unless I can connect it into a family. So I've got lots of odd spreadsheets and stuff with data in it that's still remaining to be added because I don't know who those people are. But because my study is so large, I decided right at the beginning that I couldn't do it all on my own. It would be impossible. So I enlist the help of others through the website. And just last week I went over 600 people who've signed up and they get my regular monthly newsletters. And about half of those actually share data back with me. So it may be just their current family if I've already got them or their parents in the database already, or it may be an entire tree.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, what's the surname?
Howes.
Howes.
So that's H-O-W-E-S-S-E, no E, or H-O-U-S-E.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Paul. What about you, Chris? A quick intro to your study.
Switch on. Yeah, because the numbers are so huge, I don't do much family reconstruction except when helping others or on my particular trees. So I've got about only about 10,000 linked individuals, and I've got over 1 million events, which could be, so a BMD is 3 events. So I don't know the number of individuals. I've probably got somewhere over 500,000 individuals, but I'm capturing the name and doing analysis on the name and on the individuals. I I don't spend much time putting trees together.
Okay.
And I use TMG for the family reconstructions, sources, adding things like census wills, draft records, school records, etc. That's all done in TMG. For the raw data, I started using Excel and found the computer wasn't man enough to handle all the lookup tables, cross-referencing. So most of the data now is in SQL, the Microsoft SQL, which is free.
Okay, thank you guys. We've lost Ruth, but it is being recorded, so hopefully that was a little bit helpful for you, Derek. What I'll do now is kind of switch over and show you a few techniques about how to sort of grab data from FamilySearch. Derek, just out of interest, I'm not picking on you so much, it's just that, so that you know what we're doing. In the top left-hand corner, about 2 buttons in, there's a screen share icon. I'm just about to click on that. What that allows me to do is to share my screen with anyone on the Hangout. So okay. I'll do that now, and you'll stop seeing my ugly mutt, and you'll see something far more interesting, hopefully. Oh, no, not that one. I think I'm going to do it this way. So what I'm doing now is sharing with you my desktop. Where have I? Can you see that?
Yeah.
You can. Okay. All right. You can see my desktop.
Not yet. Oh yes, now I can.
Okay, good. So I'm on FamilySearch in a normal browser window, and what I'll do for you is you click on here. You can restrict results to exact, or you can come down here and choose a record set. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to head to Ireland. You can narrow the record set to Ireland, and there's some 21 million names in the Irish BMDs that's available for searching on FamilySearch. So I'm going to click on that record set, and all that does is restricts the search to Ireland BMDs from 1845 to 1958, just the index. I'll look for Paul's surname and just see how many matches we get.
There won't be too many, there'll be some, yeah.
Yeah, not many, which is surprising. I was going to do this for Tessa. Tessa's got thousands, Tessa Kyo. But nonetheless, we've got 1 to 20 matches of 317 for the exact spelling house. If I unclick exact, then what you're telling FamilySearch to do is to guess variants for that surname. You'll get the exact matches first, and then somewhere towards the end of the record set, you'll get the difference in terms of numbers. So let me go back to exact. Here we've got the record ranges, so you're getting 20 records per page of a total of 317. So down here, for instance, you've got the subsequent pages to scroll through. Quite tedious and painful. But if let me expand this a little bit. No, it doesn't work, sorry. I'll expand this anyway because it might be easier for you to see. But I'm now looking at the URL. Can you see that URL?
Yeah.
Okay, the key thing here is this count. Index number count equals 20. See that? Yeah. I'm now going to change that 20 to, you can change it, I believe, to 499. Change it to 100. I think anything over that is a bit punishing for the site. And so it's taking a little bit longer to retrieve that data set and bring it back. Online demos, there we go. So we've now got all the records for Howes on a single screen, which certainly helps with any data extraction routines that you have. We'll be using this in a second. Let me go back to 100 results. So again, we're now asking for 100 results, so we should have some 4 pages also of scrolling. Oh, I'm not quite sure why we've got 6. But let me show you what happens when you scroll to page 2. You see how the offsets become 20? Yeah, right. So you need to make sure that the offset matches the record count. So we'll do that. And now we've got the second record set. Okay. So you need to kind of become aware of this before you head into OutWit Hub. So that's how to increase the record count and how to scroll in the same sort of base units as you had before. Very useful. Now we'll switch to okay. Now before I do that, let me try and give you a little bit of context. Oh, I've lost it. Hold on a second. This is really about why FamilySearch is so important. I saw this slide and it jumped out at me. I'm not sure if you can see that clearly enough. This is the presentation given by the FamilySearch folks. And each circle represents a size of a record set, generally speaking. To put this into context, this little purple dot here represents the 1940 census in terms of, I'm guessing, number of names. So compare that dot in terms of size to the contents in the FamilySearch vault in terms of filmed records. That represents how much of this universe has been indexed so far, and this represents how much new stuff is being added. So needless to say, as this universe grows to encompass this plus this, FamilySearch is going to be a site to get to grips with, and Colin's quite closely associated with the FamilySearch guys, so he recognizes that some of the stuff they're doing to preserve the longevity of URLs. So for instance, and I don't know the structure of this, but Paul, you might, sorry, Colin, you might, I've just clicked on one record here for a Rebecca House. But the key thing up here that I think is new, Colin, your opinion would be great, is this kind of layout for a URL.
Yeah.
Let me switch. I'm going to switch back to, or switch off screen share for a little while.
Yeah. If you could see that piece of the URL that Bob was on about there, from memory, it's four letters followed by a hyphen followed by 3 letters. That's purely from memory. That might not be right, but simplistically, what FamilySearch have done is each individual is going to have a unique identifier of that format, and that is never going to change across any of their records. And this becomes really important when they release the next version of FamilySearch at around Christmas time, which is called Trees, which basically is about collaborative trees, and it allows you to have individuals in your own tree and then pick up that unique identifier. And then you can then find other records and tie those other records, facts, whatever you want to call them, back to that one unique identifier that is going to be that one unique person in history. So they're going down this route of a persona, which is a unique record of an individual that you then add facts to. And this is what they're doing with their new Trees offering that is in beta at the moment and is going live, they say, at the end of the year.
Thank you for that, Colin. Welcome to the new attendees. Hello, Janet, and hello, Neville. I'm going to go back to where I left off. Thanks for that, Colin. Oops. Right, can you see the screen again?
Yeah.
Okay, we're back now with that URL that Colin was describing. So perhaps we're seeing the beginnings of where it might be safe to use a URL as a source citation. Perhaps not safe right now. There may be 1 or 2 changes before it becomes truly permanent, but early signs of what's possible. Okay, so we'll use those techniques to increase the records as we head over now to OutWit Hub. This is the OutWit Hub tool. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Essentially, what you've got in this bit of the screen is a typical sort of browser layout. So I'm going to go and do what I did before. Oops, I'm not quite sure where I'm on that. I'm going to go select the Ireland record set, filter for Ireland, select the Irish BMDs, and do essentially the same search that I did before. Hours, exact spelling, and of course we should have the same results, and we do. Again, 1 to 20 of 317. I'm going to increase that to 100 record hits. Which takes a little while to achieve. Maybe I haven't done that. I apologise. Back to 100. Right, there we go. And this I found is about a reasonable number for what I'm now going to do. As is typical with most of the news sites, I think FamilySearch and Ancestry take a similar approach where they add snippets of information. There is some JavaScript, I believe, here that hides or conceals some of the detail, but I haven't yet found a way of extracting it without visiting the page. But let's visit Margaret's page anyway. So here's the entry from the Irish Civil Registration Index. So Irish BMDs, the usual stuff. What's hiding behind this page that's not displayed is structural information and tagging information for these kinds of tags. And this tool, I will warn you, is not for the faint-hearted. It does take a significant amount of learning to understand how to extract this information that's on the screen.
Was there anything else in the post this morning?
No. How to extract this information from this screen consistently. And another thing to watch is that these tag layouts are different across the different record sets. I found, for instance, in Cheshire, the baptism registers from the churches can have the baptism tag, whilst the bishop's transcripts can have christenings. So part of the first thing in trying to extract this data is understanding the record layout, but we want to grab all of this detail. Obviously, if we go back to the full record layout, say the summary record, maybe this is enough for your purposes. Maybe you just want the name, the birth year, approximate range of the event. Sorry, this is the quarter for this event. This is a death and the registration district. I've taken this approach before. You can grab this stuff relatively easily, but I've always had to go back and grab the detail subsequently. So what we're going to do in this extraction is try and grab all of this rich detail that lives on a page behind the summary screen. This area of the tool determines how OutWit Hub sees this data. So it's got some standard approaches. I've also got the pro version. In other words, I've had to pay for this option. There is a free version that you can use to play around with, but I think it limits the number of records you can extract. But here we're on the page. That's an important part of the tool because it gives you the browser to be able to see the data. And it's got some data extraction tools here. It will try and grab data that it sees on the page by way of tables. And in fact, this is a pretty good effort in that it's trying to capture name, registration district, event type. It sees distinctions between these table entries and these columns. Not particularly helpful because it's still putting data in the same column, if you could imagine this as a spreadsheet. So not ideal. We can have a look at lists, and we're getting pretty much everything. There's lots of stuff here in terms of URL links that we don't want. And we could just go for the wildcard guess. Again, there's nothing in this standard intuitive data extraction that seems to work particularly well. So what we would need to do is to design a scraper. In a scraper, you tell it which tags to look for in this, and this is how the computer sees the page. So this page actually looks like this to browsers, and browsers get rid of all this blue text, this HTML, to present just the data. Little tip here, generally stuff in black is the rich data we want. So returning back to this, we want to find something that says a name, Margaret House, registration district, Belfast. So let's go back to the scraper. Here we go. So down here we've got some HTML which describes the tag name, and the name is in black. So that's a piece of text that I suggest that we grab. So we're going to say to this tool, generally speaking, all of this stuff, including the tag name, is immediately before Margaret House. So what you do in designing a scraper is you say, for the name entry, you literally cut and paste this HTML and stick it in the marker before the data to be extracted. Give it a name you want. It'll grab that data, give it an end tag, which is here. So it's now going to extract everything between that and that for the name. Is that okay? Okay. So
sorry, Bob, is it going to extract the code every time or just the name?
Code? Which code, Paul?
The HTML code.
Ah, no, it won't. No. There's options in here to tidy that up. So here's one I prepared earlier. I've gone through, given the scraper a name, FamilySearch, Irish BMD index. It applies to that URL. I haven't found this particularly useful, but I've gone through and set up the extract here. I'm just going to test it. So I'm just going to execute this extraction, and this will give you some idea that it's not working. All right, let's see if we can fix
Love these live demos.
Yeah. I found that this is the
Didn't you learn from Blue, Peter?
This is the second time this has happened to me. I think they are changing the tag names. I will just extract for the purpose of this registration district and name, and I will go back and try to work out why this is not working.
What's happening, Bob, is that there's been a lot of pressure of late on RootsDev for FamilySearch and others to adopt the same microdata format.
Okay.
So that scrapers can be universal.
Right.
And it may be that FamilySearch have taken some of that on board and has actually started to do it. That might be where it's changing.
It certainly appears to, Colin. So I'm now just updating. This is perhaps a good example. So I'm now going through and updating.
Can you turn your speakers down, please?
So I'm now going through the list and making sure the marker before matches the data and includes the, if you like, the label, the tag, and the actual piece of data. So for instance, after the extraction, we want to see a column in Excel, for want of a better word, with the tag name and Margaret House, and we want a separate column with the tag registration district and Belfast. So I've updated those extraction matches, and you can see now the name is in Margaret House, registration district. What I do here is select the record and choose catch. That just puts it down here to page. So you can see here, okay, that's some header stuff. Scraper can extract the entire range of births, marriages, and deaths. In this case, the death indexes. Okay, but the volume and page number here refer to the volume and page number for the death register for 1907 June quarter in Belfast. So if you ever get your hands on the original registers, you want volume 1, page 154. But to avoid holding you guys up anymore, I won't go through and complete extraction of, what have we got? We've got nothing beyond registration quarter and year, but you get the idea. So now let's
ask, the OutWit Hub Pro thing that is that the actual browser, or are you using Internet Explorer to browse in, or
right.
And is it attached to the Internet Explorer?
Understood. Okay. Yeah, this is actually the browser window, Jenny, of OutWit Hub.
Okay.
So here we line up with the data we want to extract. We set up the scraper to extract the data we want, and then essentially what we need to do is make sure that the results down here capture all the data we want. So this is a little bit of QA to make sure that the scraper A works and B grabs the data we want. Okay. Mm-hmm. Nothing particularly interesting. You could particularly say here that I could also copy and paste this into Excel, and you've got a horrible mess. Hold on a sec. Not very good. You could copy and paste it here, okay? And you've got essentially the same record layout. You've got all the tags in one column, you've got all of the name in another, and you could very easily, I'll do it this way just because it's the way I normally do stuff, right click, copy. You can put it up here, right click, paste special, transpose, then you've got your headers, copy that again, copy this range, right click, copy, put it under here, right click, paste special, transpose, and that's a simple way in Excel to change data that's arranged in columns into, in a single column into multiple columns and vice versa. So you could do it the hard way. The power in this tool is not just the extraction. If we now go back to the 100 results, we can now say, let's empty this. We can now say to it, please go and auto-explore these 100 pages whilst I go and have a cup of coffee. So we'll explore the links. We're going to say to it, as Colin outlined, we're going to match for these links anything in any column that's got MM9, and it's selected the 100 links to the individuals pages and only those pages. So now we can tell the tool, go off, auto explore, fast scrape, and use this scraper that we designed, the FamilySearch Irish BMD index. And it will go off, and there are ways of slowing it down or speeding it up. If you speed it up, it's not a good thing. If you speed it up, it can be detected by the source site, and it can, the source site, particularly Ancestry, can shut down your connection. But essentially it's now gone through Margaret, it's grabbed the registration district, event type, registration quarter and year, and anything else you choose to extract from that page. Remember, I didn't completely fix the URL scraping here, but you get some idea. It's now selecting each page, going back to the previous page, then selecting the second record, grabbing that detail, third record, and so on and so forth. And it will carry on all the way through those 100 matches. Then what you would need to do is to go back to the page, go forward to 100 subsequent matches, in other words 101 to 200, and continue extraction. I've seen this lately, and I'm not quite sure if this was due to the numbers or what's happened, but there's been an error in applying this scraper. There's a log up here. It's not particularly useful. It just says the same as the error message. In my experience, there's no point in carrying on. You don't know what's not been captured and what has been captured. But for the purposes of this demonstration, this gives you some idea about how powerful the data extraction is. I can now go to, so in other words, now this is the layout that's been captured and is available in the memory of this OutWit Hub. I'm going to select all these records, catch them, and this is the file, or the record export area. Just in case you do this multiple times, again, right-click, select all. Make sure, I've been caught with this before, make sure you grab all of these entries down here, and then you can export that record set to Excel, to CSV, HTML, or to SQL for use in a spreadsheet. Excel actually more of a, I think it does save it as an XML, but it can be opened with Excel. It does throw errors, and CSV export might be more safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you get the idea about how to try and set up as many extracts as you can on a single page. Set up the scraper after you looked at one record. You need to compare several records. I think one of the things in the future that could break this kind of extract is where sites become clever and only present fields that are populated. Right now there aren't many examples of those, but there are lots of examples, FamilySearch, Ancestry, and actually all of them, I think, where even where you would expect two record sets, say bishops' transcripts and parish registers, to have the same record layouts, they can be different. They can use different terms. So for now, I would advise using a scraper. Set up a scraper for a specific record set and grab the data you need. So I think for your purposes, Paul and Chris, it sounds like a fantastic way of grabbing lots of data and putting them into a convenient sort of Excel layout.
It is. It sounds really good, Bob. Thank you. I'm going to have a look at that tool later today. I'd heard it described. I think there was a lot of chat on the forum about OutWit when it first came out.
Right. And the other thing I'm more than happy to do. Sorry, Paul.
I just hadn't realised how powerful it is. Amazing.
Yeah. I haven't mastered the way, and I'm sure there is a way of doing it. Let me go back to it. I haven't mastered this yet, but I believe there's a way in OutWit Hub to have it spot in the links. If you look down here in the links, I apologise if you can't see this, but down here you can see that it's got the offset. So you could perhaps click on these if you stay with the default of 20 records, and you could perhaps have the tool auto-explore subsequent pages even.
That's what I was thinking while you were talking. Yeah.
Right. I haven't mastered that level of expertise, let's say. Unfortunately, there aren't enough Cumberbatches for me to be able to do so. But the other... Sorry.
I do have a question though, Bob. This is slightly off topic, off the main tool, but Ancestry used to have the facility to adjust the offsets in the URL, and then they took it away. Do you think FamilySearch might do the same?
Yes, I do. I was very hesitant about sharing this, videoing this, and encouraging folks to tackle the websites, let's say, electronically, because you're quite right, Paul. You can extract 400 records in a single go. That's quite a demand on the server side of things. And OutWit Hub now has some throttling tools. You can set the throttles to sort of explore the subsequent pages at let's say human pace. That's safer from a website performance point of view, but if you want to grab a lot of data quickly, I can just see some people not bothering to wait, turning the wick down in terms of speed and just driving these sites nuts. So it is possible, Paul, that these guys will get annoyed that it's, for want of a better word, data theft. But I think with tools like this, set the wick something slow, the results are less likely to fail, and let it run overnight. I mean, you haven't got to be there to monitor it, essentially. The other thing
this isn't the same thing then that does the fast film or whatever it is for downloading images?
No, fast film is purely images, Jenny. This is about the underlying data.
Right.
I believe there is. I haven't explored this. There is a way of grabbing the images. Can you see that?
No.
Hold on. No, yeah, right. Silly Robert. I haven't screen shared. Okay, go back to OutWit Hub. Up here, there's a way of grabbing images as well. I've not used this personally, but there is a way of doing it. And the very, very last thing I want to show you, which I haven't even tried yet, there is a way with these scrapers for them to be exported. So I can this scraper called FamilySearch Irish BMD index.xml, and it's a set of rules that determines the extract utilities for a particular website. And bearing in mind what Colin was saying about changing the record layouts, it's that kind of thing more than anything that will break these scrapers. That said, I am more than happy to make this work again, and then take this exported file and put it on the new bulletin board forum. I think it's an excellent example of potentially how we can use the new bulletin board forum to share things like Excel scraper files and the like. And
just before you move on, I've just pulled up a post off the Roots Dev forum which talks about OutWit Hub and screen scraping. If I just read you the first paragraph, it might give you and the other guys something to think about when you're writing these scrapers. What it says is, run a set of regular expressions, and if you're into programming at all, or if you just look up regex in Google, it'll explain it to you, over the text, looking for labels, e.g. for birth date. Look for a regular expression of birth date /estimated /birth year. Once you find a match, look at the text in the text in the next non-empty text node, and if the text matches a regular expression, then extract it. So what it's saying is that you can actually get very clever with automatically scraping through a screen looking for those TD tags that you were looking at. You can actually get OutWit Hub by use of regular expressions to go off and grab those for you without even having to look at the source code yourself.
Really?
Yes, that's what this is saying.
Okay.
So you've got some more learning and reading to do, but this guy is currently, who's put this up, is currently writing the new FreeSen site.
The census stuff, yeah.
The free census site, and what he's currently doing is that will pop an image up on the screen, and you can then transcribe it there and then for them straight into the database. That's how FreeSen are going with sort of collaborative transcription going forward, and that's what this guy Dallin is currently doing. But he posted here about using OutWit and screen scraping, so just thought I'd share it for what it's worth.
What was that link, Cole, for the description of OutWit Hub and the expressions?
What you need to do is you need to go to Google Groups.
Google Groups.
And join the Roots Dev group.
Oh, okay.
and then if you search on there for OutWit, it will come up. It might be worth joining it anyway. It's an open group for people just interested in developing genealogy software and this sort of thing. So there's a lot of the FamilySearch guys there, FreeSend guys. There's even some guys from Google on there looking at what they can do with Google Search to help us. So there's a whole raft of people.
Thanks for that, Colin.
Okay.
And the very last thing I want to show you before I shut up and let you speak is you've now got this data. Excel, and this is, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a spreadsheet. This is Google Doc spreadsheet. I'm going to show you some very, very simple text manipulation functions and equations that help you grab data in a spreadsheet. These are single functions. Don't worry so much about what these are. If you look at these examples, and here's the result you get by way of text. So in this example, it's already chopped out all the label, all these spaces in this example. But here's how it's entered. So a lot of spaces at the beginning, too many spaces in the middle, too many spaces at the end as well. So if we want to get rid of too many spaces, we use this function in Excel. And if I show you what the function looks like, we're telling it to trim that cell B2, and you end up with that. If you want to add cells together, add that and that, you end up with that. You can do it this way, or you can do it that way. You can do matches to see if two cells are exactly the same. This cell and this cell are not exactly the same because there's a difference in capitalization. Okay, these two cells are not the same because they're radically different. And these two cells are the same in spelling and in capitalization. You get the idea. If you want to extract, let's say, just the year from this format, 1st of January 2012, we tell it, grab the right 4 characters of that cell, and you end up with 2012. You do need to watch for things like Julian years, so there's no panacea here. That said, there are some complex functions, and I will put this spreadsheet or a copy of it in the bulletin board forum, so you can copy and paste these functions. We quite often end up with full name cells, and in the example before we had Margaret Howes, for instance. If you want to split a full name into, let's say, a full name and or a surname, then you can use a couple of functions. I'll start off down here because here I'm highlighting some errors that can occur. But let's start off with this one. If we want to split the full name from this layout from the surname, we can enter an equation, which is this. I know it looks horrible, and you haven't got to understand how it works, but that's the equation that grabs the full name from the full name, and here's the equation over here for how to grab a surname from this field also. Okay? And there's some tips and techniques down here. There's lots of ways of doing this about finding duplicates in a range of cells. This example here overcomes the error where you've got a single name and a full name extract, whether it's a surname or a full name. You don't want this stuff necessarily in your spreadsheet. Perhaps you do for validation points of you. In this example down here, it just copies the single name into the full name and the surname fields. So once you've got your OutWit Hub data extracted to Excel, here's a few routines on avoiding splitting that cell using the data tools, which you might be more familiar with, or copying and pasting. I will deposit that in the bulletin board forum later on today. Any thoughts?
All right with 2 forenames.
Sorry, Ruth?
Does it cope all right with 2 forenames?
Oh, yes. Yeah, let me go back and show you that. I didn't dwell on that, but yes, it does. Oops, sorry, I did it in Google Docs, didn't I? So here we've got an example of, if you, let me tell you in this one, I think, have I got that as post? Yeah, okay. Okay. I'm going to switch off the formula. You'll need to look at these 2 cells. Just for demonstration purposes, these 2 cells have been pasted as text. But here's the raw data. So if we said Michael Donald Duck Mouse. Oh, I can spell duck right. Okay. So, I can spell Michael. I am honestly better at my study than spelling names quickly on telly. So here we've got a bunch of full names. Michael Donald Duck, surname Mouse. It's extracted Michael Donald Duck as the full names and extracted Mouse as the surname.
Right.
Would
that be the same if it was a double-barreled surname?
No. The names need to be separated by a space, and it won't deal with compound names. So if you've got a name like O space Leary, it will struggle. If you have a surname like DA space Costa, like Da Costa, it will extract Costa. I'm sure there are cleverer people than I that can come up with those exceptions, but they're quite easy to eyeball.
Okay, thanks.
Hello, Helen. Any thoughts, comments?
Question, please. Sorry, it's Derek.
Hello. Hello.
Didn't know.
Go for it, Derek.
Your OutWit Hub tool. Have you got any experience of trying it on the Find of My Past website?
Yes, I have. The process is exactly the same, Derek. Find My Past is, in fact, I think, easier to extract data from than Ancestry. These tools work across the board, even the way I showed you, but you do need to get to the specific data set. So if you look at, let me take you there for example. If we go to Find My Past, oh, come on. If we go to Find My Past, www.findmypast. Oh, let me do it this way. I think this is a good example. So if we look at the bishop's transcripts, this is the way I advise you to do it for now. Perhaps if I can master the thing Colin was describing, this will be less important. But if we go to bishop's transcripts for Cheshire, I'm going to search for just one spelling. Let me go with someone with a name. It's an unusual name. So we've got the bishop's transcripts here. Here we've got examples of where the tags are using christening and christening date.
Yeah.
Whereas the parish register will say, let me try and prove that, baptism. But in essence, as long as you work on the smallest collection available to you, you can see how similar this record layout is to that of FamilySearch. And it's this data, this rich detail that we want to grab. So if I take you to birth, marriages and deaths, let's look for a birth in after free BMD is finished, let's say 1970. Oh, let's do mine. I'm recording this, everyone now knows my age.
I missed that. Go back.
I won't worry about it too much.
Yeah, I know Spring Chicken, and I should, of course, remember that I was registered the year after. It's not my birth year. Where am I?
I'm their baby.
This is where we find his mother's maiden name and other.
Yeah, just to prove I've got Italian ancestry as well as Bajan. So here's the record layout. As long as you get to this level of detail, Derek, then I think it's safe to extract. If you work from this kind of level and then drill down, then it becomes much more difficult to apply the right scraper as well.
Okay. Do you know that if the same tool works on findmypast.com as .co.uk, because it's a totally different layout?
I would imagine so. I don't think the tool is URL specific, although you can extend the URLs, I believe, to apply only to certain record sets. That's if the URL is encoded with the record sets. But from a pure data extraction tool, I believe there are other tools that might be easier to use that I've not used before. I've heard mention of things like Tools Table or Table Tools, which is a browser extension that does something similar.
I've just put a link in the chat screen for a Google Chrome extension to do the same thing automatically from Google Chrome on Ancestry, or similar things.
Fantastic.
So there's a browser plugin, but it only works with the Chrome plugin. With the Chrome browser, rather.
Thank you, Colin. Any thoughts, comments, or I think for you, let's. I'm going to put this crudely. For you guys with big ones.
Something when you say OutWit Hub, it extracts all the information, and you go down to the very specific one for you to put the tags in.
Yeah.
Does it find anything that is also attached to the record if they've linked it to something? Like, say they've... I know that Ancestry is looking at... You can put your DNA link onto the person's name, apparently, and... well, this is down the track, and then you can... Anything that person is on Ancestry, you put the same DNA link or something, so they're all linked together?
I think, from what I've seen the tool can do, and what I'm comfortable in saying, is if there's a URL location on that page, you can certainly grab that URL location. And there might be a way to even auto-explore and browse following links. I just personally don't know how to do that, Jenny. But Tony Timmins, remember Tony Timmins was, I think, the first to use this tool and may know an awful lot more about how to grab this data and use it more thoroughly. I got to the point where I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. I'm not quite sure I could tackle the stuff that Colin mentioned, but I'll certainly give it about 10 minutes worth of learning. But in that regard, these kind of utility Excel spreadsheets or these scrapers can more than easily be shared on the new bulletin board. And just so that I can have a break, Colin, do you want to quickly flash up the new bulletin board and walk us through it?
Can do
if you don't mind. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No problem at all. Right. Okay. Screen share. I know that some of you have already logged into the new bulletin board. I did a soft launch on it, for which I so that no, it's not shared. Is it shared yet?
Yeah, it's come.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I did a soft launch on it. The full launch is going to be in the next journal, which is out at the end of the month. But I'd set this up, and I wanted to get a few people on there to start using it to make sure I got the configuration right. And in fact, launched it Monday, Tuesday this week, and we're now up over 50 members just with a soft, quiet launch on Google Plus and Facebook. So that's good, and it's also proven that I've got I had a few little bits wrong, and so as a result, I've managed to sort the configuration out. If I that, and that. Right. As a normal guild member, you won't see the committee and regional reps boards because they are for their discussions. Once you've logged in, this is what you'll see. One of the useful links is this one here, right underneath the name, which is show unread posts since you were last logged onto the board. So if you just want to see recent postings on all the boards, you can just click that. In fact, nothing will come up because, as you can see for me, because I've read them all. And what we've then done is we've divided it up into sections. So we have a section here for guild announcements, situations vacant, guild events, announcement of hangouts, and announcement of other events that the guild is involved in or whatever. Then the main section, which is about guild discussions, we've got a general discussion board, which is where anything goes. DNA board, so hopefully I can find out something that Jenny's found out about DNA going forward. Hangouts, where we can post the, this is being recorded Hangout to air, so what we'll do is we'll put the link direct to that video on there once we've finished recording it, so anybody can see it anytime in the future. And if anybody's got problems with how to do a Hangout or how to join one or whatever, you can add that there. Marriage challenges, wills and probate. We then come down to the software. Any questions about the software? And what surprises me is there's nothing in the Excel board at the moment. Bob?
It's coming, Cole.
So then the last thing is help with any specific websites, including the social media, Facebook, Google+, Twitter. So those are the boards. So if you want to have a look at the general discussion board, we'll pop that up. And these are all the posts that have so far been made. So you can read any one of these just by clicking on it, and you can read what anybody's said about those items. If you want to create a new topic, which I'll do now and then I'll delete it. So we can create a new topic. I don't know. And you can now put your normal text in. You can make some of it bold, you make some of it underlined, etc. You can add your smileys if you want to. But the interesting ones are basically these ones along here. If you want to add a YouTube video, for instance, if I YouTube, you go to YouTube and grab a video. You just grab this one. Oh, shut up. And so what you want is that URL there. So if you just copy that, and we'll come back here. So you click on this little icon here, insert a video. The cursor is already in the middle between the square brackets. You just put Control-V, and it puts that video will then display. So if I now post this, there we are. So this one won't load because this is loading the video from another website rather than from YouTube. So that one won't in fact post. So it wasn't a good example, unfortunately, the one that I chose, but it gives you an idea of how you can do that. If you want to share a website, again, you just put in, again, between the closed square brackets and the open square brackets, you just put in the full URL, including the HTTP bit at the front. And then the last one is if you want to put in an email address, which is that one. So, so you can then put in an email address, which if you look at the post in a minute, you can click on it. If you want to add an image or a file, Don't bother about any of these buttons up here. Use the attachments and other options. So what you can do is you can now go off and find an image that you want to, on your hard disk, that you want to put up there. Where am I? Am I on the wrong folder? Typical computers on a go slow. But if we grab, I'll just grab this document. It's a Word document, but it doesn't matter. It's the same for an image. Come on. Right, let's have another go. No. Trying to do too much all at the same time. Hooray, we've got it. So we can now add that document in there. So basically you can add documents, images, EPUB files, or ebook files, zip files, and XLS spreadsheets. So if we now save that, it will now upload it. So you see we've got a URL there. So if we click on that, it will take us off to that URL. I'll open another window, so you can see that one going on there. If you want to send an email, you can just click that and it pops your normal email program up. And there's the document that I uploaded, and it's then asking you to open it or save it. So any of these things you can then share with another member. So I will now remove that message. So it's gone. But that just gives you a quick rundown of what you do. But what it does mean is that if you're not interested in anything about Brothers Keeper, for instance, there's no need to look at any of the posts on that, unlike the existing mailing list where absolutely everything comes through. If you're interested in stuff on Excel, what you can do is anytime there's a new post sent through to the Excel forum, you can click on the notify button. And anytime anybody puts anything into the Excel forum, you'll get an email telling you that there is a new message there on the Excel forum. And you can then go off and read it. I think that's all for now, unless there's any specific questions.
Hey, Colin.
Just a quick rundown, anyway.
Thank you for that. Hopefully you can see my email client now.
No, we did.
You did? Okay, right. Then, as Colin was saying, I've already set up my notifiers up here, and you can see that there's a new email that I've received that says in the title it's a new topic, demo for Hangout. So as soon as Colin posted that to the new forum, bulletin board forum, I got an email saying a new topic, demo for Hangout, has been made on a board that I'm watching, and I can just click on here. I won't because it's now been deleted, but you can set up alerts so that you don't have to go trawling through the bulletin. Oh, I was on mute. Nobody heard me, right?
No, we did hear you.
No, we all heard you.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And that's how you can set up alerts and not have to trawl through the bulletin board on a everyday or periodic basis. The board will tell you when there's a discussion in a topic that you're interested in.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, as I talked to Colin earlier, was that in a couple of years' time there will be so many topics. You know, how do you know there is a new topic that will have interested you? So that's going to be a nice problem to have, I think.
Yeah, let's hope.
Right. Any last thoughts and comments? We've overrun by.
I've got a comment on the website here, the Google Plus Hangout site. What's Google Effects and Warlight? Have they been added?
Yeah, no. Warlight is a game, is a strategy game. I think Google are adding these things. I just had a look at it and I now can try and work out how you delete these topics on the top.
Yeah, the Google Effects allows you to put funny faces and things on other people partaking in a Hangout.
Oh, I thought that was on all the time.
Oh, this is my own funny face.
There's another new one, cameraman. I'm not quite sure what that does, but yeah, I think they'll carry on adding these things as Google Hangouts carry on. Any other thoughts? Are we all done? Please feel free to say if you've got any comments.
I was just going to say that in case you wanted for another occasion, the way I discovered why you couldn't hear me to begin with, and that was because I hadn't realised that I had to change my setting from the default headphones to speaker and microphone. Lots of you can't hear me.
Well done then, Ruth.
Also, I know that if people are set up for using Skype, then with video, then I think the cameras won't work. So you've actually got to disable Skype before you come into the Hangout.
I didn't.
No, my Skype's still running now, Paul. No problem.
Ah, okay. Well, it's just my machine then. Yeah. Okay.
I find yes. I think it must vary by machine because I find I need to change the microphone setting between Google Plus and Skype.
Oh.
Is it just me, or can you see Colin wearing a tiara? Someone's
that was me playing around with the Google Effects, Bob.
Well, I'm glad that's recorded. There's two confessions. My birthday.
I noticed most of you have got the earphones and microphone. I'm just using the little Logitech ball. So do I come through okay?
Yeah, you do, Jenny.
You sound a bit Australian, though.
Sorry?
Australian.
Yeah, we've had problems with people using desktop mics and speakers before, and so that's why those of us that do this regularly have moved on to headsets, really, because it means that they do mute external noises. Like we had earlier with Ruth, where she got the wrong setup, we got lots of feedback, and that is more prevalent when you've got desktop mics and speakers than with a headset setup.
But if you're in a quiet environment, then it's fine. If you try and join this, let's say from a hotel foyer, you're likely to have trouble.
Well, I probably won't be able to make the next two, although then again I might make them. I'm supposed to be heading off to the UK in less than 2 weeks and doing a cruise down the Suez Canal on an American ship.
Oh dear.
Which I'm not quite sure is going to happen now.
That sounds ominous. At least the weather would be great.
Yes.
Yeah, mind you, like when I went to Egypt last year, it was just after the Foreign Office said you can go, and all the big tourist sites like the pyramids and the Valley of the Kings were empty. So instead of getting thousands of people, we were just 3 or 4 on our own, which was absolutely fantastic. So the Suez Canal might be brilliant because there'll be nobody there.
Well, it might be wonderful, but I know that the cruise line is already not going to Alexandria. They've already decided a couple of Mediterranean places are pretty nice. So I'm not really sure where I'll be.
Excuse me for interrupting, but I'll just end the broadcast.